Hey guys! Today we step into a buzzing room filled with hushed conversations and drifting glances. You feel the hum of unseen currents pulling people toward one corner while you stand at the threshold, wondering why nobody notices you. Imagine the gentle sway of warm lighting, the soft clink of glasses, the low murmur of laughter, and you, almost invisible, watching as others light up the space. Reality check. Being magnetic isn't reserved for the famous or the photogenic. It's a skill you can learn, practice, and master. So breathe in, lean forward, and let's unfold the true blueprint of magnetism, one tiny habit at a time. You don't need a makeover, a flashy gimmick, or a script of clever lines. You need to understand that magnetism is built on simple, powerful habits, small actions you repeat until they become second nature. Right now, as you read these words, you hold the key to transforming those invisible currents into a force that draws people toward you. You're about to learn how to shape your presence, your mindset, and your energy so that when you walk into that room again, you don't fade into the background. You shift the atmosphere. First habit, awareness. Notice how you enter spaces. Do you slump your shoulders? Do you look at your phone? Do you hesitate before greeting someone? Every moment you spend unconscious is a missed opportunity to spark connection. So start by tuning into yourself. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Sense the rise and fall of your breath. Check your posture. That simple pause plants the seed of presence, a quiet, undeniable signal that lets others know you belong here. Second habit, genuine curiosity. Before you leap into talking about yourself, ask yourself, what story is waiting to be heard? When you tune in to others' words and listen with real interest, you give them a gift, a sense of being seen. And that gift comes back to you tenfold because people naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel important. Today, pick one person and listen without rehearsing your next line. Notice how their eyes light up. Feel the subtle shift in energy when someone truly hears you. Third habit, small wins. Magnetism doesn't happen overnight. You aren't flipping a switch. You're turning a dial. Start with tiny actions. Offer a sincere smile to a stranger. Compliment one genuine quality you notice in a colleague. Pause before reacting to a challenge. Take that breath, then respond with calm curiosity. Every small choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. You may wonder, if these habits are so small, can they really move the needle? Absolutely. A genuine smile reduces tension. A moment of presence builds trust. A single compliment uplifts moods. Over time, these small habits accumulate until they become the force field that draws people in. It's like slow brewing coffee. The flavor deepens with every minute. Here's a quick exercise to anchor your commitment. Right now, look around and find the nearest reflective surface. A window, a phone screen, a mirror. Catch your own gaze. Smile at yourself. Acknowledge, I'm learning to be magnetic. That moment of self-recognition sets the tone for every action you take today. Now, let's frame the purpose of your journey. You're not here to seek approval or applause. You're here to master skills that enrich your relationships, deepen your influence, and boost your confidence. You are here to become someone who lights up a room, not by shining over others, but by radiating authenticity, kindness, and presence. Magnetism isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about being the clearest, warmest presence. As your guide, I'll walk you through 14 powerful habits, sections that build on each other like stepping stones across a river. Each habit is a tool you can practice today, tomorrow, and every day after. You'll learn how to strengthen your inner foundation, refine your communication, expand your generosity, and refine your nonverbal signals. You'll discover why authenticity beats perfection, why listening outweighs talking, and why giving value always outperforms trying to get it. Right now, feel that spark of possibility. You've taken the first step by showing up here. Keep that spark alive by embracing each habit with curiosity and compassion for yourself and for others. Magnetism is not magic. It's mastery of simple habits repeated with intention. Your transformation begins with an idea. You can be magnetic, and it grows with every choice you make. You step into your own mind and notice the stories you tell yourself, the quiet criticisms that loop in your head, the shadow doubts that whisper you're not enough. Right now, you have a choice. Let those voices rule your day, or gently rise above them and cultivate a foundation of self-worth that no outside opinion can shake. This section guides you to treat yourself with the same kindness and respect you offer to others, because authentic self-worth is the bedrock of true magnetism. Begin with self-respect. You deserve your own time, attention, and care. When you wake up, don't reach for the phone or dive into work before you've checked in with you. Instead, pause for 2 deep breaths. Ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Notice any tension or hesitation, and offer yourself permission to feel it. That simple act of acknowledgement sends a powerful message. Your inner world matters. Next, set tiny boundaries that protect your emotional space. If you find yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media, decide on a 1-minute limit and stick to it. When a coworker interrupts you with a non-urgent request, practice saying, "I'll get back to you in a few minutes," rather than dropping everything. These small acts of boundary setting feel awkward at first, but quickly become affirmations of your worth. Each time you honor your own needs, you signal to yourself and to others that you matter. Now, let's cultivate emotional intelligence. You're not a robot. You're a human being with shifts in mood, fleeting frustrations and bursts of joy. Emotional intelligence means learning to notice these feelings without getting hijacked by them. When frustration flares, pause, feel the tightness in your chest, label it, "I'm feeling frustrated," and then choose how you respond. That pause is a superpower. It separates you from the pull of raw emotion and lets you decide whether to lash out, retreat, or speak calmly. Practice this pause with everyday triggers. If someone criticizes your idea in a meeting, breathe and think. This is their perspective and not my identity. When you feel disappointment because plans change, notice your shoulders slump, then lift them. Label the feeling, "I'm disappointed," so it doesn't sneak into your behavior. Over time, you become someone who carries emotional storms with poise, which makes others instinctively trust your calm presence. Authenticity flows naturally from self-respect and emotional intelligence. When you respect yourself, you stop hiding bits of who you are. You share your opinions with confidence, even when they differ from the crowd. You admit what you don't know. You own your mistakes. Authenticity isn't about oversharing or dumping every thought. It's about aligning your words and actions with your true values. To practice authenticity, start small. In conversation, if you're asked your preference, coffee or tea, give your honest answer without prefacing it with excuses. If you love black coffee, say, "I love the bold kick of black coffee," rather than, "I guess I drink it because..." That straightforwardness feels refreshing. It shows confidence in your tastes. When someone asks how you're doing, resist the automatic "fine." Instead, share a glimpse of your real state. "I'm a bit tired from last night's deadline, but I'm excited about today's meeting." That small truth creates connection. People lean into honesty. They feel safe when you speak your mind compassionately. Authenticity deepens when you live according to your values. What matters most to you? Creativity? Kindness? Growth? Identify your top 2 values and look for ways to express them today. If kindness is one, pause to send a genuine note of thanks to a colleague who helped you. If growth is another, carve out 10 minutes to learn something new. These actions make you feel aligned inside, and that alignment radiates outward. Remember your inner critic, the voice that says, "You're not good enough." Don't silence it, challenge it. When that voice whispers, "You're going to fail," respond with curiosity. Why do I feel that way? What evidence do I have? You might discover that most of those fears have no real proof. Replace the critic's harsh words with affirmations that build self-worth. I've handled challenges before. I can learn from this. Over time, your inner dialogue shifts from sabotage to support. Finally, honor your boundaries around authenticity. You don't have to share everything with everyone. Authenticity is selective. It's sharing who you are with those who deserve it. Pay attention to how people respond when you open up. If they show respect and interest, deepen the conversation. If they mock or dismiss you, you might choose to hold that part of yourself more privately. That discernment is itself an act of self-respect. By cultivating self-respect, practicing emotional intelligence, and aligning your actions with authenticity, you build an unshakable foundation of self-worth. In that space, you no longer chase validation. You stand confident in who you are. Others sense that grounded presence immediately. They feel safe, drawn, and inspired by the real you. And that, truly, is the essence of magnetism. You settle into a conversation and notice how most people are already crafting their next sentence even before the other person's words have fully landed. They're listening to reply, not to understand. And it shows. Their eyes drift, their minds wander, and their words land hollow. But you, right now, choose a different path. You decide to listen first, to really hear the story behind the story, and then to speak with intention that warms, connects, and inspires. This shift, listening before speaking, is the cornerstone of magnetic communication. Let's begin with presence. Before you dive into any exchange, become fully there. Consciously set aside distractions. Feel your feet rooted beneath you. Take a breath and release any thinking about your to-do list or your phone. You're here. This moment matters. Your full attention is the greatest gift you can offer, and it instantly elevates every conversation. Notice how you feel when someone truly looks at you, nods, and waits for your words. You feel seen, respected, safe. That's the gift you're about to give. Next comes active listening. This isn't a passive nodding game. It's an engaged practice where you lean in and tune into 3 layers: words, tone, and emotion. First, focus on the actual words. Hear the story they tell. Then, shift to tone, the rise and fall of their voice. Are they excited, hesitant, tired? Finally, sense the emotions underneath: joy, worry, pride, fear. When you catch all 3 layers, you grasp the full picture. You're not just reacting to facts, you're responding to feelings, and that depth is magnetic. To build this skill, practice an 80-20 listening rule. Listen 80% of the time. Talk only 20. It may feel odd at first. You'll fight the urge to jump in. But when you honor this ratio, something remarkable happens. People open up. They sense your genuine curiosity and feel safe sharing their stories. You'll notice longer eye contact, softer tones, subtle smiles. That's trust, blossoming in real time. Here's a simple exercise to ingrain active listening. Next time someone speaks, silently repeat their last phrase in your mind. If they say, I felt overwhelmed by the project deadline, echo overwhelmed by the project deadline. This little mental mirror keeps you anchored in their words. It prevents your mind from drifting to your own stories or solutions too soon. Over time, this practice trains you to stay fully present. As you listen, cultivate empathetic curiosity. Ask open-ended questions that invite depth. What was that experience like for you? How did that make you feel? What surprised you most about it? Avoid yes/no prompts. Dig beneath the surface. Each thoughtful question is a bridge, a way of saying, I value your perspective. I want to understand. Mengi. And every time you ask one of these questions, you deepen the bond and reinforce your magnetic pull. Now, let's talk about the art of pausing. In our culture, silence often feels awkward. We rush to fill every gap, but magnetic communicators embrace silence as a powerful tool. After someone speaks, pause for a beat before responding. Let that pause linger just long enough to show you're processing, caring, weighing your words. It signals respect and deliberation. It allows genuine answers to emerge rather than rehearsed rebuttals. Practice it. After your friend finishes a story, count 1001, 1002 in your mind before you speak. The result? Your response lands with clarity, and they feel truly heard. When it's your turn to speak, choose words with warm intention. Begin with acknowledgement. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you for trusting me with this. Even brief recognition of someone's openness builds trust. Then share your thoughts in a way that honors their feelings. If you offer feedback, wrap it in empathy. I see how much effort you put into this project. I wonder if we might try a different angle to lighten the load. You're not imposing, you're collaborating. That inclusive language invites partnership rather than defensiveness. Use names to make it personal. Saying Sarah or Tom reminds people you see them as individuals, not just voices. Sarah, that example really resonated with me. Instantly deepens connection. And don't overuse names. Just sprinkle them naturally for warmth. Mind your tone and pace. Speaking too quickly can convey nervousness or impatience. Speaking too slowly can sound uncertain or condescending. Aim for a steady, conversational rhythm. Let inflections rise when you're excited. Soften when you're compassionate. Pay attention to your volume. Too quiet loses impact. Too loud feels overbearing. Imagine you're sharing a story with a friend over coffee. Relaxed, animated, inviting. Remember, clarity over complexity, simple, heartfelt language resonates more than jargon or elaborate metaphors. I care about your success trumps I'm invested in the synergies of our collaborative efforts. People remember sincerity far longer than fancy phrases. And when you edit out fluff, your words land with precision. Now, let's explore reflective feedback, a technique that blends listening and speaking. After someone shares, reflect back what you heard before adding your perspective. It sounds like you felt frustrated by the sudden change in plans. Is that right? Wait for confirmation. Then proceed. Given that frustration, I think leveraging our team's strengths in X area might ease the load. This two-step approach, reflect then suggest, shows deep understanding and positions you as a supportive partner, not a critic. Marine this approach. Pick one conversation today and practice reflective feedback 3 times. Notice how people respond. They lean in, their shoulders relax, their eyes light up, That's the power of being heard and understood before you speak. As you refine listening first and speaking with intention, you'll naturally adopt a conversational flow. Think of dialogue as a dance. Each listener-speaker role shifts back and forth gracefully. You sense when to lead with a question, when to pause, when to offer insight. This flow keeps energy alive and builds mutual respect. To hone your sense of flow, imagine each exchange as a tennis rally. You return the ball to their court thoughtfully, and they return it to you. That rhythm feels effortless and engaging. Beware the temptation to multitask. If you glance at your phones or glance around the room, you fracture your presence. Even a quick look away can feel like distraction. So practice single tasking in conversations. Place your phone face down and out of sight. Keep your body angled toward the speaker and maintain open posture. Lean forward slightly, uncross your arms, soften your facial expression. These nonverbal cues say, "I'm here for you." When challenging topics arise, lean into empathetic listening rather than defensiveness. If someone critiques a decision you made, resist the urge to justify or deflect immediately. Instead, reflect. "I hear you saying that the timeline felt tight and risky. Help me understand what would have made you feel more comfortable." This invitation to elaborate diffuses tension and transforms potential conflict into collaboration. Over time, as you apply these listening and speaking principles, you'll notice a subtle but profound change. People begin to seek you out. They share more, trust more, and respond more openly to your ideas. You become a rare presence in a world full of half-listening, a person whose words carry weight because they're preceded by genuine understanding. To anchor today's practice, choose one meaningful conversation, perhaps a check-in with a friend, a quick chat with a coworker, or even a routine customer interaction, and apply these steps. Number 10, pause and settle in. To do, listen actively, words, tone, emotion. 3, reflect back before speaking. And 4, ask an open-ended question. 5, pause again before responding. 6, speak with warm intention on using their name. Notice how each step shifts the dynamic. Reflect on the difference between a rushed exchange and one infused with presence and purpose. As Section 2 laid your foundation of self-respect and authenticity, Section 3 equips you with the tools to engage others deeply. You've learned to listen not as a passive receiver, but as an engaged partner, and to speak not as a reaction, but as a thoughtful, encouraging guide. The ripple effect of these practices will flow through every interaction, personal, professional, or casual, making you unforgettable without effort. So go ahead. Practice listening first, then speaking with intention. Watch how your presence transforms from background noise to a beacon of connection and trust. Your words, when guided by genuine understanding, become more than information. They become lifelines that draw others in and keep them coming back for more. You feel that familiar flutter in your chest, the one that whispers, "They'll see right through me," or "I'm not enough." It's the inner critic flexing its muscles, eager to pull you back into doubt. But right now, you choose a different narrative. You decide to cultivate a quiet confidence, a calm, steady assurance that doesn't need applause or approval. This confidence isn't loud or brash. It's a grounded presence that says, "I belong here," without needing to prove anything. As you master these practices, you'll attract respect, trust, and genuine connection simply by standing in your truth. Begin with self-awareness. You can't build confidence in the dark. Notice the stories your inner critic tells. "I'm too inexperienced. My idea isn't good enough. They won't listen to me." Write down 3 of your most persistent doubts. Seeing them on paper transforms vague anxiety into concrete challenges you can tackle. Next, challenge those doubts with evidence. For each self-criticism, list at least 2 counterexamples from your past. If your doubt says, "I'm not a good speaker," recall the time you led a meeting that sparked lively discussion. If it says, "I can't handle pressure," remember when you met that tight deadline with calm focus. These stories are your proof points, tangible reminders that you've succeeded before and can do so again. Now, practice affirmations that feel true. Avoid empty praise or lofty claims you don't believe. Instead, craft simple statements rooted in fact. I've navigated challenges before and learned from them. People have listened to my ideas and found value in them. Repeat in these morning and night, ideally aloud. Let your voice carry the words. Over time, hearing yourself state these truths rewires your mindset from "maybe I can't" to "I can." To deepen confidence, embrace small courage acts. Confidence grows with experience. Identify one minor fear you can face today. Speaking up in a group chat, making eye contact with a stranger, volunteering an idea in a meeting. These are your confidence-building blocks. Each time you push through the fear, you send a clear signal to your brain. I can handle this. Track your successes in a simple log. No victory is too small. Each one reinforces your growing sense of capability. As you collect these wins, cultivate self-compassion. You're learning new habits, and you will stumble. When you catch yourself ruminating on a misstep, "I stumbled over my words," or "I didn't get the reaction I wanted," pause and breathe. Acknowledge the slip without judgment. "That was tough. I did my best." Then pivot to your next micro-challenge. Self-compassion turns setbacks into lessons rather than proof of failure. Your posture and breath are powerful confidence levers. Confidence starts in the body before it reaches the mind. Stand tall, feet hip-width apart, shoulders back, chin parallel to the ground. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Reset your posture instantly. Breathe deeply into your diaphragm. Feel your ribs expand when anxiety hits. Repeat this posture and breath ritual. It's like flipping a switch from doubt to grounded assurance. Consider power poses when you can't avoid nerves. Before a big conversation or presentation, stand with your hands on your hips, chest open, feet wide. Hold for 2 full minutes. Research shows, even if you don't feel invincible, your body responds as if you do, and your mind soon follows. Use this pre-interaction ritual to prime your confidence and shift your energy. Quiet confidence thrives on preparation. Know your content, your boundaries, and your purpose. If you're speaking on a topic, prepare 3 key points and practice saying them aloud. If you anticipate pushback, draft calm, respectful responses. Preparation isn't about perfection. It's about equipping yourself so your confidence isn't fragile. When you know your material, you stand from a place of competence, and competence is magnetic. Cultivate a growth mindset. Replace "I'm not good at this" with "I'm learning this." That small linguistic shift transforms challenges into opportunities. When you struggle, say, "I'm in the process of mastering this skill," rather than "I'm never going to get it." Growth mindset encourages persistence and makes you resilient, which radiates quiet confidence. Now, let's address the fear of judgment. Everyone fears judgment. The magnetic difference is in how you handle it. Imagine each critical thought as a passing car on a highway. Notice it, then let it drift away. You don't have to chase every thought. When you catch yourself worrying about what others think, pause and reframe. I choose to focus on my purpose, not on possible judgments. Each time you let a judgment pass without reaction, you strengthen your mental muscle and deepen your confidence. Confidence deepens with competence. So invest in skill development. Is there an area, public speaking, technical knowledge, social skills, where you feel shaky? Dedicate 20 minutes a day to focused practice. Read a chapter, watch a tutorial, rehearse a scenario. Consistent, incremental improvement fuels long-term confidence. Reflect weekly on progress, celebrate milestones, and adjust your plan. This disciplined growth convinces your mind that you're capable. And when you believe it, others sense it. As your competence and confidence grow, practice humble expressional. True confidence doesn't boast. It invites collaboration. When you share an idea, present it as a suggestion. Here's a thought I'd love your feedback on. That phrasing shows you trust others' input and signals emotional safety. Humble expression cultivates respect. You're confident enough to be open, not rigid. Quiet confidence flourishes in uncertainty. Real life rarely offers full guarantees. Practice making decisions with incomplete information. Start small. Choose a restaurant without scanning every review, or pick a route home without checking traffic apps. Notice the tension that arises. Lean into it. Embrace the discomfort as a chance to practice trust in your judgment. Each successful choice builds confidence in your decision-making, reinforcing that you can handle life's mysteries. Invite feedback as a confidence accelerator. Ask a trusted friend or colleague, "How did my input land?" Or, "What did you notice about my energy in that conversation?" Approach feedback with curiosity, not defensiveness. Listening openly to observations helps you spot blind spots and fine-tune your approach. Over time, the act of seeking feedback becomes a hallmark of confident self-improvement rather than insecurity. Surround yourself with confidence allies, people who lift you up without sycophancy. Notice how you feel after conversations. Do you feel energized or drained? Prioritize connections that align with your growth. Confidence is contagious. Positive and supportive relationships reinforce your own belief in yourself. Integrate these practices into a daily confidence ritual. Ohmua 1. Morning awareness. Journal 1 Tao and its counter-evidence. Notiao 2. Power posture. 2-minute power pose before key tasks. 3. Micro-courage act. Face a small fear intentionally. 4. Affirmation. Repeat a true grounding statement aloud. 5. Skill block. Dedicate 20 minutes to targeted practice. 6. Evening reflection. Log 1 success and 1 lesson. Consistency cements confidence into habit. Over weeks, doubts lose their grip and your quiet assurance becomes second nature. As you cultivate self-awareness, challenge doubts, practice micro-courage, and refine your posture and breath, you'll notice a shift. The voice of judgment softens. You stand taller. Conversations flow more easily. Opportunities that once felt intimidating now feel within reach. Your presence exudes calm strength, and that magnetism draws people in naturally. You no longer chase approval because you stand firmly in your own worth. That shift, from seeking validation to owning your value, is the hallmark of quiet confidence. It ripples through every interaction. Colleagues respect your perspective. Friends seek your insight. Strangers feel at ease in your company. So carry this quiet confidence with you today. When doubt creeps in, pause, breathe, and recall your evidence. When a new challenge arises, smile and treat it as another opportunity to grow. With every step, you solidify the unshakable foundation upon which genuine magnetism thrives. You notice how most interactions revolve around "me, what's in it for me?" or "how can I benefit?" And you realize that magnetic people flip the script. They focus not on what they can get, but on what they can give. Today, you embrace a generosity mindset, giving your time, attention, encouragement, and presence without keeping score. This spirit of giving not only uplifts others, but creates an invisible gravitational pull that draws people toward you effortlessly. Begin with intentional presence. When you're with someone, whether for a quick hallway greeting or a deep conversation, make it count. Put away distractions. Feel the shift in energy when you look someone in the eye, smile genuinely, and lean in slightly. That moment of focused attention tells people, you matter. You give them the gift of your full presence, and they'll naturally want to give you theirs in return. Next, cultivate encouragement as a daily habit. People face countless doubts and setbacks. Your words can be the encouragement they need. Make a habit of noticing someone's effort, then verbalize it. At work, say, I saw how you handled that challenge. You stayed calm and found a solution. Really impressive. To a friend, say, I know today was tough, but your resilience inspires me. Specific recognition hits home. It shows you're paying attention and that you care about their journey. To deepen this practice, implement a 3-minute check-in each day. Choose one person, colleague, friend, or family member, and send a brief message acknowledging something positive about them. Hey, just wanted to say I appreciated your insights in today's meeting. I noticed how kind you were to that new team member. This small act requires minimal time but delivers maximum impact. Well, you're giving genuine encouragement, and you'll notice how it brightens both your days. Generosity also means sharing knowledge. If you learn something useful, a technique, an article, a resource, pass it along to someone who might benefit. When you recommend a book, summarize its key takeaway and explain why it resonated with you. When you introduce two people who can help each other, craft a brief note highlighting their strengths. By acting as a connector, you become a bridge, someone who lifts others as you rise. That reputation for generosity draws people to you, eager to both give and receive value. Now, let's explore emotional generosity, the art of offering empathy and a listening ear. When someone shares a struggle, resist the urge to fix it. Instead, practice compassionate presence. Breathe, acknowledge their feelings, and say, I'm here for you. I can't imagine exactly how that feels, but I want to listen. Sometimes, the greatest gift is the safety to express pain without judgment. Be that safe harbor. You give emotional refuge, and people remember those who gave them permission to feel. Generosity also extends to time. Invitations, favors, and support often compete for your calendar. Rather than reflexively saying no, ask yourself, can I help this person grow or feel supported with this request? If the answer is yes, carve out time. Offer to mentor a junior colleague or volunteer for a project outside your comfort zone. If the request doesn't align with your priorities, respond with kindness. I'd love to help, but my schedule is tight right now. Can I recommend someone else who might be available? You give respect for both their need and your own boundaries, a balanced generosity that sustains you. Now, speaking of boundaries, true generosity flows from a full cup, not depletion. You must care for your own well-being to give sustainably. Schedule regular self-care breaks, a 10-minute walk, a brief meditation, or a sip of tea without screens. These micropauses recharge your energy, ensuring you give from abundance rather than depletion. Your generosity is far more impactful when you're rested and present. Generosity in small moments can transform routine interactions. Offer your seat to someone who looks tired. Hold the door. Share your umbrella in a sudden downpour. Offer genuine compliments about someone's character, not just appearance. I admire how you always bring calm energy into the room. These micro gestures build your magnetic presence one small act at a time. When you practice generosity consistently, you create a ripple effect. Your kindness inspires others to pay it forward. A coworker who felt supported reaches out to help someone else. A friend who received empathy offers it to their network. You become the center of a web of generosity, and people want to be part of that network. They feel good near you because your giving spirit raises their own. To anchor today's generosity mindset, commit to a 5 acts of giving challenge. Word 1, presence. Give undivided attention in one conversation. Tmana 2. Encouragement. Offer specific praise to 2 people. 3. Knowledge. Share a useful resource with someone. 4. Emotional support. Practice compassionate presence with 1 person. 5. Microgesture. Perform an unexpected kindness. Coffee, door holding, or a quick note. Reflect tonight on how these acts affected both you and others. Notice the shift in energy and the warmth you created. Generosity isn't obligation, it's an expression of your authentic, abundant self. The more you give, the more you strengthen the invisible bond that draws people in. Finally, remember that generosity isn't about grand gestures or constant giving at personal cost. It's about consistency in small, thoughtful acts. It's about leading with empathy, sharing value, and protecting your own well-being so that your giving remains heartfelt and sustainable. When you operate from this mindset, you don't chase connections, they flow to you naturally. As you embrace generosity of spirit, you build deep reservoirs of goodwill and trust. People remember how you made them feel, and they seek out that feeling again. Your magnetic presence becomes synonymous with warmth, kindness, and empowerment. So today, give without expectation. Whether through your time, attention, encouragement, or presence, each act of generosity builds your magnetic field stronger. Watch how relationships flourish, trust deepens, and opportunities flow your way, all because you chose to give first. You encounter someone whose presence instantly tightens the air. Sharp words, impatient glances, or a sigh that carries more judgment than you expected. It's tempting to mirror that tension or shrink back, hoping to avoid conflict. But magnetic people navigate difficult personalities with grace, empathy, and clear boundaries, transforming potential friction into opportunities for understanding and respect. In this section, you'll learn how to respond, not react, so you stay grounded and maintain your magnetism, even in the storm. Begin with emotional self-regulation. When faced with negativity, pause before responding. Notice your body's signals, a quickened heartbeat, a clenched jaw, or shallow breath. Close your eyes briefly if you can. Inhale slowly and exhale fully. This simple breathing reset shifts you from reactive mode to responsive mode. You choose your next move rather than being driven by instinct. Next, practice perspective taking. Difficult behavior often springs from unmet needs or hidden stress. Instead of labeling someone as rude or toxic, ask, what might they be experiencing right now? Picture them juggling deadlines, heading into a personal crisis, or feeling underappreciated. This doesn't excuse poor behavior, but it fuels empathy, a core magnetism quality. When you see underlying humanity, you disarm your own frustration. Now establish compassionate boundaries. You can care about someone's pain without absorbing their negativity. Start by setting a mental line. I will listen and support, but I won't let harsh words shape my mood. If they raise their voice, imagine a boundary bubble around you that softens the impact. Verbally, you can say, I'm here to understand, but I'd appreciate a calmer tone so we can work through this together. This approach communicates respect for both parties, neither aggression nor avoidance. To reinforce boundaries in real time, use I statements. Instead of "you're always so critical," try "I feel unsettled when our conversation turns harsh, and I'd like us to find a more constructive way forward." You own your feelings and invite collaboration on solutions. This shifts the dynamic from blame to partnership, making it easier for the other person to engage without defensiveness. Simultaneously, hone your active listening under pressure. When someone vents frustration, focus on their words, tone, and emotion, just as you do in calmer exchanges. Lean in, nod, and repeat back key points. It sounds like you're overwhelmed by the shifting priorities and want clearer direction. Reflection shows you're truly listening, even if the words sting. It also gives them space to feel heard, which often diffuses tension. When the conversation feels stuck in negativity, employ a reset question. Ask something neutral and forward-looking. What outcome would make this situation better for you? Or, how can I support you in solving this challenge? Redirecting from complaint to solution channels energy into constructive action. You demonstrate willingness to help while shifting the mood. If the person persists in negativity or personal attacks, you can pause the interaction gracefully. Say, "I want to address this, but I think we're both feeling tense. Let's take a 5-minute break and reconvene." Use that time to reset, stretch, breathe, or jot down your thoughts. Return with a calmer mindset and clearer focus, signaling you're committed to resolution, not escalation. Maintain professionalism and kindness throughout. Even when asserting boundaries, your tone remains respectful. If you feel anger rising, visualize responding from the perspective of your highest self. Imagine advising a friend calmly, compassionately, and with firm clarity. That mental shift keeps you grounded and ensures your words align with your values. Let's explore empathy statements as boundary-friendly tools. When someone's frustration turns personal, you might say, "I hear how upset you are, and I respect how much this matters to you. I understand this has been challenging. Let's tackle it together. It seems like there's a lot on your plate. How can I lighten the load?" These statements validate their experience without surrendering your emotional territory. You're saying, "I've got you, not you've got me." Recognize when to disengage. Some conflicts aren't resolvable in a single conversation. If tension remains high after multiple reset attempts, you may need to step back entirely. "I value our relationship, but I think we both need space right now. Let's pick this up tomorrow." That decision safeguards your well-being and respects the relationship's long-term health. Difficult people can also be valued contributors if channeled constructively. When you notice a person's tendency to criticize, invite them into solution mode. Your attention to detail is sharp. How would you improve this process to avoid these issues? They shift from complaint to co-creator, and you harness their passion rather than being drained by it. Practice this reframing exercise. Take a recent interaction where you felt triggered. Write down the person's words and your immediate reaction. Then, for each harsh comment, jot a possible underlying need or concern. Finally, draft an I statement response that acknowledges their need and asserts your boundary. Reviewing these scripts rewires your response patterns, so in future, you act decisively, empathetically, and confidently. When navigating ongoing difficult relationships, say, with a chronically negative colleague, consider structuring interactions to minimize friction. Schedule check-in meetings with clear agendas and time limits. Keep discussion focused on facts and solutions, document agreements, and follow up via concise emails. Process-oriented interactions reduce emotional volatility and keep conversations goal-driven. At times, you'll face provocateurs, people who push buttons intentionally. Your calm response can be the strongest countermeasure. Imagine standing on solid ground while they hurl pebbles. The pebbles bounce off without disturbing your balance. Practice the neutral chef technique. Envision yourself as a chef, plating reactions. Only choose ingredients that serve the recipe. If someone adds bitterness, you skip it. Hold emotions lightly, like ingredients measured precisely, and only let in what builds flavor. Another tool is strategic agreement. If someone makes an exaggerated claim, you never listen. You can agree partially. You're right. At times I could listen more closely. Let's find ways to improve that. You acknowledge truth without accepting extremes. This diffuses defensiveness and opens space for collaboration. Remember that self-care underpins graceful boundaries. Difficult people can test you physically and emotionally. Daily rituals, mindful walks, journaling, or short meditations recharge your resilience. After a taxing interaction, take 5 minutes to reset, stretch, breathe, or step outside for fresh air. Self-care isn't optional. It maintains the wellspring of empathy you draw from. When you witness disrespect directed at others, you can practice upstander intervention, safely speaking up for those who can't. A simple, "I'm concerned about that comment," or "let's keep our tone respectful," demonstrates leadership and boundaries. Others will respect you for protecting a culture of kindness and respect. To refine your boundary skills, run a role-play drill with a trusted friend. Ask them to play the difficult person, using phrases that push your buttons. Practice your breathing reset, empathetic reflections, and I statement boundaries. Notice how it feels to respond calmly. Rehearsal builds muscle memory for real-life encounters. Acknowledge that some relationships may require long-term adjustment. If a person consistently undermines your well-being despite your best efforts, you must decide if the relationship is sustainable. Exiting unhealthy dynamics is not failure. It's a self-respecting choice. You maintain your integrity by choosing connections that nurture your growth. Finally, celebrate your progress. Setting boundaries with grace is challenging work. Each time you pause before reacting, reflect underlying needs, and assert your limits kindly. You strengthen your magnetic presence. Keep a boundary journal, noting difficult interactions and how you manage them. Over time, you'll see patterns of growth and gain confidence in your ability to handle any storm with poise. Graceful boundaries aren't walls that shut people out. They're gates that let in respect, understanding, and healthy connection. When you navigate conflict with empathy and firmness, you stand as a beacon of calm assurance. People sense that you can handle tension without being undone, and that confidence draws them in rather than pushing them away. So today, when you face difficult behavior, remember, pause, inner breathe, empathize, set a clear boundary, and maintain kindness. That sequence isn't just conflict management, it's magnetism in action. By mastering these steps, you transform storms into bridges, turning potential friction into deeper trust and respect. You step into a room and instantly sense the undercurrent of unspoken signals. The way someone's shoulders slump, a flicker of distraction in their eyes, the subtle tension and crossed arms. Your body language broadcasts volumes before you utter a single word. In this section, you'll master the nonverbal codes of magnetism, posture, eye contact, gestures, so that your silent signals align with your authentic, powerful presence. Stand tall, rooted like a mighty oak. Imagine a string gently pulling the crown of your head toward the ceiling, elongating your spine. While your feet rest, hip-width apart, roll your shoulders back and down, opening your chest without thrusting it forward. This open posture conveys approachability and self-respect. Practice realigning your posture throughout the day. While waiting for your coffee, straighten up. During calls, sit with your back flush against the chair and feet firmly planted. Each realignment reinforces your worth. Your body broadcasts stability, and others instinctively trust it. When you move, do so with intention. Avoid slouching or shuffling. Instead, take measured strides. Let your arms swing naturally at your sides, not clenched or hidden in pockets. Every step becomes a statement. You belong exactly where you are. Lean in slightly when someone speaks to you, about 10 degrees at the waist. That microlean signals engagement without invading personal space. Too much lean feels pushy, too little leans into disinterest. Find your balance as they finish a thought. Subtly shift your weight forward, then release it gently. That momentary forward tilt says, I'm listening. Eye contact eyes are truly the windows to connection. Maintain a soft, steady gaze. Look into the area between their eyebrows and the bridge of their nose. Hold for about 4 to 5 seconds, then calmly glance away to the side for a second before returning. This rhythm, hold, release, return, establishes trust. Practice with a mirror. Imagine conversations and rehearse, holding your gaze, relaxing your facial muscles, and then releasing. Over time, that warm eye contact becomes natural. Use the Duchenne smile, a genuine smile that crinkles the corners of your eyes, to amplify authenticity. In front of a mirror, smile until you feel a lift in your eyes, not just your mouth. In conversation, pair compliments or warm greetings with an eye smile. It instantly conveys sincerity. Gestures. Your hands are powerful communicators. Keep them visible and purposeful. Open palms facing up signal honesty. Palms to the side denote calm. When describing expansion, spread your hands wide. When talking about details, bring thumb and forefinger together in a precise pinch. Rehearse 3 key phrases you often use, perhaps in meetings or casual chats, and assign each a deliberate gesture. Practice these in front of a mirror or record yourself to ensure fluidity and authenticity. Avoid closed or guarded gestures. Arms crossed, hands in pockets, fiddling with jewelry. These micro-behaviors suggest defensiveness or nervousness. Replace them. Rest your hands lightly on the table, at your sides, or use them to underscore your points. Facial expressions. Your face reflects your inner state. Between conversations, briefly check in with yourself. Is your forehead relaxed or furrowed? Are your jaw muscles tense? Allow your face to soften. Release tension from your brow and jaw, and settle into a subtle, neutral smile. As someone speaks, mirror their emotion. Raise your eyebrows in genuine surprise. Soften your eyes in empathy. Widen your smile and share joy. These micro-expressions create emotional resonance at a subconscious level. Enhance this skill with the emotion mirror exercise. Watch short video clips of clear emotional displays, joy, sorrow, just curiosity, and mimic them in the mirror. This trains your facial muscles to convey empathy authentically. Synchrony and mirroring. When you subtly mirror another's posture, gestures, or tone without overt mimicry, you create synchrony, an unconscious rapport builder. If they lean in, you lean in shortly after. If they speak softly, you soften your tone. If they smile, you smile back. Do this intermittently, and after a slight delay, mirroring every move feels contrived. With a friend, practice reflecting one gesture every 10 to 15 seconds during a 5-minute chat. Notice how the connection deepens. Proximity and orientation. Physical distance speaks volumes. In most social contexts, maintain about an arm's length of space, close enough for intimacy, far enough for comfort. Pay attention to cues. If they lean back, give more space. If they lean in, you can inch closer. Also, square your torso toward them, shoulders and hips aligned, indicating full attention. Avoid turning your body or crossing your arms, which can signal detachment, voice, and tone. Though vocal tone enters the auditory realm, it pairs intimately with nonverbal cues. Speak in a clear, moderate volume and vary your pitch to maintain engagement. Emphasize key words by slightly raising your intonation and sprinkle pauses for impact. Imagine addressing a close friend. Your voice naturally grows warm and inviting. Channel that same energy in all exchanges. Energy calibration. Gauge the room's atmosphere. If the energy feels tense, slow your movements and lower your voice to bring calm. If spirits are low, infuse gentle enthusiasm, slightly quicker hand motions, or a brighter facial expression to elevate the collective mood. You act like a conductor guiding an orchestra, calibrating tempo and volume. Micro-expressions and leakage. Be alert for negative micro-expressions, fleeting eyebrow furrows, lip presses, nostril flares that can betray frustration. In heated moments, slow your breath, consciously soften your face, and recall your intention to connect. Use self-video checks with permission to review recorded interactions and identify any nonverbal leaks that contradict your message. Practical drills. 1. Hourly posture. Reset. Set a reminder to realign your posture, feet planted, shoulders back, for 30 seconds. Eye contact challenge. In every conversation, hold soft gaze for at least 4 seconds before breaking. Idritanuri. Gesture scripting. Rehearse 3 commonly used phrases with matching gestures in front of a mirror. Main-pour. Mirroring game. With a partner, mirror 1 gesture every 15 seconds in a 5-minute chat. 5. Facial neutrality. Check-in-ting. Notice your resting face between talks. Soften whenever tension appears. By integrating these body language techniques, open posture, calibrated eye contact, purposeful gestures, authentic facial expressions, subtle synchrony, mindful proximity, and calibrated energy, you ensure that your silent signals broadcast confidence, warmth, and authenticity. Your body becomes your silent ambassador, reinforcing every word you speak and making your presence unforgettable. You step into a conversation and notice how most people hear words but miss the world beneath them, the unspoken fears, the hidden hopes, the subtle emotional currents. In this section, you elevate listening from a habit to an art form. You become an active listener who not only hears words, but feels meanings, mirrors emotions, and builds unshakable trust. Because making someone feel profoundly understood is the single most magnetic gift you can offer. Begin with whole body attunement. Listening isn't just an auditory act, it's a full body experience. Ground yourself by feeling the soles of your feet pressing into the floor. Soften your knees and allow your torso to lean in at a gentle 10-degree angle. Uncross your arms, relax your shoulders, and rest your hands lightly in your lap or on the table. Palms up. Let your spine be tall but relaxed, like a tree rooted deeply yet swaying with a breeze. This physical orientation signals to your brain and to the other person, I am here, I am present, I am ready to receive. When you bring your whole body into alignment, you open channels for deeper connection. Next, sharpen your focus on empathetic mirroring. As the other person speaks, tune into their energy, tempoed volume, emotional tone. After a brief delay of about 3 to 5 seconds, reflect a fraction of their energy back. If they speak softly, lower your voice a notch. If they gesture slowly and deliberately, match that rhythm. This subtle dance of synchrony creates an unspoken bond. They feel seen at a visceral level. To practice, Pair up with a friend. Have them tell a 1-minute personal story while you mirror their tone and pace at a 2-second delay. Then switch roles. Notice how much more you feel understood and how much more open you become when you know someone is in sync with you. Deepen your skill by employing emotional labeling. When someone expresses frustration, pause and say, "It sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed right now." Naming the emotion gives them clarity and relief. They know you're truly tuned in. If they share excitement, respond, "I can sense your enthusiasm. This really means a lot to you." Use simple phrasing. "It seems like," "I sense," "It feels as if." Admitting emotional guesses requires courage and humility. If you're off the mark, they'll gently correct you. And that correction deepens trust because they see you care enough to try. Integrate the 80-20 rule more precisely. Commit to listening 80% of the time, speaking only 20%, but refine it further. Allocate 70% of the time to pure, uninterrupted listening, 10% to mirroring back what you heard, and 20% to your response. During meetings or informal chats, mentally track this ratio. Notice how others lean in, share more freely, and open up when you sustain this high level of receptivity. Over weeks, this becomes second nature, and people begin to expect and appreciate your attentive presence. Cultivate curiosity-driven questions that invite depth rather than surface chatter. Replace "How are you?" with "What's been on your mind most this week?" Swap "What happened?" for "What did that experience teach you about yourself?" Or try "What's something you've discovered recently that surprised you?" These openers convey genuine interest in their inner world and signal that you value their perspective. Keep a mental or physical list of 5 go-to curiosity questions and rotate them to avoid predictability. Soon, people will anticipate your thoughtful inquiries and prepare to share their most meaningful stories. Practice reflective pauses with intention. After they finish speaking, resist the urge to jump in. Count silently to 3, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Let the silence breathe, then respond. This deliberate pause creates space for deeper reflection and often prompts them to add details they might otherwise withhold. Silence, when handled confidently, signals respect and shows you value their words enough to give them room. Pay attention to micro-cues, tiny shifts in expression, fleeting changes in breathing, subtle adjustments in posture. If their shoulders tighten, their eyes avert, or their voice catches, note those signals internally. Gently reflect them. "I noticed a shift in your tone just now. I want to make sure I'm understanding. What changed for you?" This level of nuanced listening shows you care about their full experience, not just the facts. Keep a listening log to track your progress. After any important conversation, whether a work meeting, a coffee chat, or a challenging discussion, jot down 3 things you heard: a concrete fact, an expressed emotion, and a revealed value or belief. For example, fact, project timeline extended by 2 weeks. Emotion, frustration and anxiety. Value, desire for reliability and predictability. Reviewing these notes each week sharpens your retention and reinforces your skill in picking up both spoken and unspoken cues. Weave in micro-affirmations as you listen. Brief verbal nods, "I see." "Go on." That resonates, accompanied by a subtle head nod or soft exhale. Maintain dialogue flow and encourage deeper sharing. The small gestures cost nothing but convey validation, keeping the other person engaged and valued throughout the exchange. Embrace story-back technique for complex discussions. When someone shares a multi-part narrative, summarize the key points in your own words before offering input. so let me make sure I've got this. You're saying the client changed requirements unexpectedly. That caused confusion on the team. And now you're worried about meeting the deadline. Is that right? This story back shows you tracked the full arc of their message, not just snippets. It also gives them a chance to correct misunderstandings before you proceed, ensuring alignment. To master this art, set up a weekly listening workshop. Gather 2 or 3 colleagues or friends and take turns sharing for 3 minutes while everyone practices the techniques above. After each turn, the listeners provide feedback on what they heard, fact, emotion, value, and how it felt to be mirrored and labeled. This group practice accelerates your learning and builds a culture of deep listening among your peers. Integrate empathetic summaries in longer exchanges. For instance, it seems like this project has been particularly stressful, and you're seeking clearer guidelines to feel more confident. A succinct summary like this packs listening, labeling, and reflection into one statement and sets the stage for collaborative problem solving. Recognize listening fatigue and counter it with mini breaks. Deep listening requires mental stamina. If you find yourself drifting or feeling overwhelmed, take a brief pause. Excuse yourself to grab a drink of water or stretch your legs. When you return, reset your posture and your focus. This self-care preserves your capacity to listen wholeheartedly. When challenging emotions surface, anger, sadness, defensiveness, use grounding statements as anchors. I appreciate you sharing this. I want to understand fully. Or, thank you for trusting me with these feelings. Let's explore what you need right now. These statements combine gratitude, acknowledgement, and an invitation to continue. Listening at this depth transforms you into a safe harbor for others. People begin to seek you out, not for solutions, but for solace, clarity, and trust. They feel seen, heard, and valued in a way that few others provide. Over time, this reputation spreads, and you become the person everyone wants on their side. To ensure these skills stick, craft a daily listening ritual. 1. Morning intention. Before the day begins, set the intention. I will listen deeply today. 2. Weekly challenge. Choose one demanding conversation and apply 100% of these techniques. 3. Reflective journaling. Each evening, write one insight you gained by listening, about the other person or about your own listening habits. 4. Gratitude acknowledgement. At day's end, send a brief thank you message to someone you listened to, acknowledging what you learned from them. By embedding deep listening into your daily life, you cultivate an empathetic presence that resonates far beyond any single conversation. Your attentiveness becomes a signature gift, and people remember the way you made them feel understood. As you perfect the art of active listening, whole body attunement, empathetic mirroring, emotional labeling, reflective pauses, and micro-affirmations, you develop a magnetic presence that draws others in naturally. They sense your genuine care and respond with openness, trust, and loyalty. Your listening transforms interactions into profound connections, making you unforgettable in every room you enter. You've witnessed how a thoughtful word can light up someone's face, while a half-hearted compliment fades like a whisper in the wind. In this section, you'll harness the power of heartfelt praise, using specific, genuine compliments to uplift others and strengthen your magnetic pull. When you notice and celebrate someone's unique qualities, you create moments of connection that linger long after the words are spoken. Begin with mindful observation. Commit to noticing details, the effort behind a polished presentation, the kindness in a quiet gesture, the persistence that turns setbacks into progress. Train yourself to spot these moments by setting a daily goal. Offer 3 sincere compliments today. They can be professional, I appreciated how clearly you organized that report. It made decisions so much easier. Or personal, your laughter lights up the room. It's contagious. By actively seeking out positives, you rewire your brain to focus on strengths rather than shortcomings. Next, make your compliments specific. Generic praise like "good job" or "you're awesome" falls flat. Instead, highlight precise actions or traits. Example: I noticed how you anticipated our clients' needs before they asked. That proactive approach saved us time and earned their trust. Detailing the behavior shows you truly saw their contribution. Specific praise builds credibility. People know you're not just paying lip service, but genuinely valuing their efforts. Pair your compliment with emotional resonance. When you say, "I saw how you supported Jane when she was overwhelmed," that level of compassion makes this team feel safe. You don't just acknowledge an action, you tap into the emotional impact it created. People crave recognition for their positive influence, not just for ticking boxes. Acknowledge the feelings they inspired in others, and you deepen your bond. Use timely delivery. The best compliments land close to the action. If you wait days, the moment loses its spark. Catch someone right after they've done something worthy of praise. After a meeting, send a quick note. "Thanks for bringing that insightful perspective today. It really changed how we approached the solution." That immediate feedback magnifies the positive effect and reinforces the behavior you want to encourage. Compliment in public and private. Public praise, during team meetings or group settings, elevates both the recipient and the group's morale. It shows everyone you value contributions openly. However, some compliments are best received one-on-one, where the individual feels singled out in a meaningful way. Balance both. Use group settings to build collective confidence and personal notes or conversations to create deeper, private connections. Leverage small gestures to amplify your words. Pair verbal compliments with handwritten notes, or follow up with a quick coffee invitation to discuss their ideas further. Physical tokens, like a book you think they'll love, show you noticed their interests. These added touches turn simple praise into memorable experiences. When giving feedback on character traits, focus on virtues that matter deeply: integrity, perseverance, kindness, empathy, creativity. Saying, "Your integrity in admitting that mistake set a powerful example for the rest of us," honors the person beyond the immediate task. Such trait-based compliments resonate at a core level and foster lasting respect. Practice complimentary acknowledgement. Not every compliment must be about monumental achievements. Recognize quiet wins too. Consistent punctuality. Calm demeanor under pressure. The small acts that keep daily life running smoothly. These micro-compliments validate the often unseen labor that sustains teams and relationships. Beware of over-complimenting. If every word you utter is praise, compliments lose their potency and can feel insincere. Aim for balance. Let praise punctuate your interactions like bright stars in the night sky, not as constant, dull glow. Reserve your heartfelt compliments for moments that genuinely stand out. In conversations, use compliment pivots to deepen engagement. After praising, ask a related question. "I really admire how you brainstormed that idea. What inspired you?" This technique blends praise with curiosity, showing you're not just impressed, but genuinely interested in their thought process. It fosters richer dialogue and strengthens rapport. Integrate the gold star ritual at the end of each day. Identify one colleague or friend who did something noteworthy and send them a quick message highlighting one specific strength they displayed. Over time, you'll build a reputation for being both observant and appreciative. and people will begin to anticipate your encouraging words. Use compliment chaining in team settings. After recognizing one person, invite them to praise someone else. This creates a cascade of positive energy. I want to shout out Maya for her thorough research. Maya, who made your day extra special today? Compliment chaining spreads goodwill and strengthens team cohesion. When you receive a compliment, practice gracious acceptance. Resist the urge to deflect or downplay. Instead, smile, make eye contact, and say, "Thank you, I really appreciate that." Accepting praise elegantly reinforces your own confidence and models respectful gratitude for others. To measure your impact, can keep a compliment log. Note who you praised, the context, and their reaction. Reflect weekly on patterns. Which compliments felt most meaningful? Which relationships deepened as a result? Use these insights to refine your approach. Mastering heartfelt compliments transforms you into someone who not only accomplishes tasks, but who elevates others. Your words become catalysts for confidence, motivation, and loyalty. People will remember the way you celebrated them as much as they recall achievements themselves. As Section 9 concludes, you don't have the tools to recognize, articulate, and amplify the best in others with sincerity and timing. Each genuine compliment you give weaves threads of trust and warmth that build your magnetic presence, making you the person others seek out, not just for guidance, but for the experience of being seen and valued. You notice how the most memorable conversations aren't a laundry list of facts, but vivid stories that paint pictures in the mind and stir emotions in the heart. In this section, you harness the art of storytelling to captivate and connect. You'll learn how to craft purposeful narratives, complete with clear structure, emotional highs and lows, and relatable details that draw people in and make your message unforgettable. Storytelling isn't about theatrics or flamboyant language. It's about taking someone on a journey that resonates with their experiences and aspirations. Every great story shares three essential elements: a relatable protagonist, a compelling challenge, and a satisfying resolution or insight. You become both the guide and the fellow traveler, inviting your listener to see themselves in the narrative. Begin with purpose. Before you launch into any story, ask yourself, what do I want my listener to feel or learn? A story without purpose is mere entertainment. A story with purpose drives understanding and action. Maybe you want to illustrate resilience, showcase creative problem solving, or underscore the value of compassion. Pinpoint the core message. You are the moral of the story, and weave every detail around it. This clarity keeps your narrative focused and ensures you don't drift into unrelated tangents. Craft a relatable protagonist. Every listener seeks someone they can root for. Position yourself or a character as someone with familiar desires and fears. If you're telling a workplace anecdote, describe how you, like many, craved approval or worried about making mistakes. Use small details, your heart racing before a presentation, the knot in your stomach at a tough conversation, to make the experience universal. When listeners see themselves in your story, they lean in, eager to discover how it unfolds. Build emotional contrast. Emotion is the engine of storytelling. Peak emotions, joy, fear, surprise are memorable, but contrast is key. Alternate between tension and relief, uncertainty and triumph. For example, describe the anxious silence before delivering bad news. Then shift to the release of relief when you handle the situation with empathy. That emotional roller coaster keeps listeners engaged. Outline your story as tension, turning point, resolution. Know exactly where you want your audience to gasp, nod, or sigh with relief. Use vivid details. Facts alone don't ignite imagination. Sensory details do. Paint scenes with sight, sound, my smell isn't in texture. Instead of, it was a busy day, try, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as phones rang in rapid succession, and I could taste the lingering scent of burnt coffee. This specificity tethers your listener to the moment. Yet, balance is crucial. Too many details overwhelm. Choose 2 to 4 striking details that anchor the scene and allow the listener's mind to fill in the rest. Structure your narrative. A well-structured story flows naturally. Follow a simple 3-act framework. Moshtual, setup, introduce context and characters. Not 2, confrontation, reveal the challenge or obstacle. 3, resolution, share the turning point and the insight gained. Keep each section concise. In conversation, aim for 3 to 5 sentences for each act, aim for longer presentations. You can expand to paragraphs, but always circle back to the core purpose. Transitions matter. Use phrases like, "That's when," or "Little did I know," to signal shifts in the narrative and build anticipation. Embrace vulnerability. Authenticity amplifies connection. Share your fears, mistakes, and doubts as honestly as your successes. When you reveal that you nearly froze in front of a client or felt inadequate in a new role, people resonate with your humanity. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage, and it fosters trust. Frame these admissions as learning opportunities. I stumbled, but that taught me how to prepare differently next time. Inject dialogue. Dialogue breathes life into stories. Rather than summarizing, quote key lines. For instance, I looked at her and said, "I don't have all the answers, but I'm committed to figuring this out with you." This direct speech transports listeners into the moment, making them feel like they're eavesdropping on a real conversation. Keep dialogue brief and impactful. Capture the essence, not every word. Let listeners fill in the subtext. Leverage universal themes. Themes like growth, belonging, sacrifice, or redemption resonate across cultures. Frame your narrative around one of these timeless motifs. If your story is about overcoming a project setback, emphasize the theme of perseverance when you share a personal moment of self-discovery. Highlight authenticity. Universal themes tap into shared human experience and make your story relatable to any audience. Use metaphors and analogies. Metaphors bridge new ideas to familiar ones. If you're describing team collaboration, liken it to a jazz ensemble. Each musician improvises within a shared structure. Analogies clarify complex concepts and keep listeners engaged. Yet, avoid overloading your tale with mixed metaphors. Choose one strong figure of speech per story. When used sparingly, metaphors stick. Maintain conversational tone. Even a compelling story falls flat if told in a stilted voice. Speak as if you're sharing over coffee, natural, emotive, and unhurried. Use contractions, rhetorical questions, and brief pauses to mirror everyday speech. For example, ever had that moment when you realize you've been preparing all wrong? That was me last Tuesday. This style invites listeners into dialogue rather than a lecture. Practice the show, don't tell principle. Rather than stating emotions, show them through actions and context. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," describe, "My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I parked outside the conference." Actions paint emotion vividly. Reserve telling phrases for when clarity is crucial, but rely on showing to immerse listeners. End with insightful reflection. A story is only as powerful as its takeaway. After the resolution, share the insight you gained in a sentence or two. Tie it back to your core message. That experience taught me that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a catalyst for collaboration. This reflection cements the lesson and nudges listeners toward applying it in their own lives. Invite participation. Great storytellers engage listeners by inviting them to contribute. After your story, ask reflective questions. Have you ever faced a moment when admitting doubt opened new doors? This transforms a monologue into a shared exploration. Participation deepens retention and forges stronger bonds. Practice mini storytelling drills. Hone your skill with quick exercises. 101. Daily anecdote. Each day, share a 60-second story with a friend or colleague. Focus on clear purpose and vivid details. 2. Recording debrief. Record yourself telling a short anecdote. Listen for pacing, clarity, and emotional resonance. Adjust accordingly. 3. Themed story. Swap. Partner with someone. Each pick a theme. e.g., resilience, humor, and tell a story within 2 minutes. Give each other feedback on impact. Watch and learn from masters. Observe accomplished storytellers, podcasters, speakers, or colleagues who captivate. Notice how they structure narratives, modulate tone, and weave details. Emulate techniques that resonate with your style, then adapt them to your voice. Be mindful of length. Attention spans vary. In casual settings, keep stories to about 2 minutes, roughly 200-250 words. For presentations, you can extend to 5 minutes, but break it into segments with interactive elements. Always scan listeners' body language. If you sense restlessness, wrap up efficiently. Avoid common pitfalls. Overloading with details. Too many minor details obscure your message. Going off topic, meandering stories lose engagement. Lack of emotional arc. A story without tension or relief feels flat. Monotone delivery. Flat tone drains even the best narrative. Embed stories into everyday interactions. You don't need grand occasions to tell meaningful stories. Use storytelling as team meetings. Begin with a brief anecdote that frames the agenda. One-on-one check-ins. Share a quick personal insight related to the person's challenge. Email updates. Open with a short story that humanizes your message. Networking. Introduce yourself with a story about what drew you to your field. By sprinkling narratives throughout daily exchanges, you reinforce your message and keep your presence memorable. Measure impact and iterate. After sharing a story, observe reactions. Do listeners nod, smile, lean in? Do they reference the story later? Solicit feedback. Did that story resonate for you? What stood out? Use insights to refine your approach. Experiment with different themes. Adjust pacing and calibrate details. Mastering storytelling transforms you from an ordinary communicator into a magnetic narrator who guides listeners on journeys of emotion and insight. Your stories become bridges, linking your experiences to others' realities, forging empathy and inspiring action. As you embrace purposeful structure, vivid details, emotional arcs, and authentic voice, your narrative presence will evolve into a beacon that draws people in naturally. They won't just remember what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel and the lessons you illuminated. You now hold the tools to craft stories that captivate hearts and minds. Use them wisely, practice them daily, and watch as your magnetic presence deepens through the power of storytelling. You've mastered listening deeply and telling compelling stories. But remember, the magnetism of connection is a two-way street. In this section, you'll cultivate genuine curiosity, showing authentic interest in others through open-ended questions, name recall, and thoughtful follow-ups. When you make people feel truly valued and understood, you become the person they're naturally drawn to. Anchor with names. Nothing signals personal interest more than using someone's name. It's the sweetest sound to a person's ears. Yet many of us forget to use names beyond the first introduction. Resolve today to use each person's name at least twice in a conversation. Once upon greeting, and again when making a point about them. For instance, Maria, hearing how you navigated that challenge was inspiring. Or, thanks for your input. James, your perspective really matters. This practice shows you see them as individuals, and it strengthens recall in your own memory too. Ask open-ended questions. Move beyond yes and no queries to questions that invite rich responses. A swap? Did you like the presentation? For, what part of the presentation resonated most with you? Replace, are you free Friday? With, how does your week look for a meeting? Openers beginning with what? How and tell me about. Give people room to share insights, emotions, and values. Keep a mental list of 10 go-to openers. What inspired you to? How did you decide that? Tell me about a time when. Rotate through them to spark deeper dialogue. Practice active recall. After a conversation, take a moment to jot down 2 or 3 key personal details, their passions, recent achievements, or family anecdotes. Reference those details in future interactions. Last time you mentioned you loved hiking, found any new trails lately? This level of follow-up proves you listened, remembered, and cared enough to revisit their story. Over time, your reputation as someone who truly remembers builds loyalty and warmth. Embrace follow-up questions. Don't settle for the first answer. When someone shares a point, dig deeper with a follow-up. That's fascinating. What led you to that conclusion? Or, you mentioned challenges. Can you tell me more about what made them difficult? These follow-ups signal your genuine interest and often uncover layers of insight that more superficial chats miss. Aim for at least 1 follow-up per topic to keep the conversation rich and engaging. Use I'm curious statements. Preface questions with your own curiosity to soften and personalize your inquiry. I'm really curious, how did you manage to balance those priorities? This approach feels collaborative rather than interrogative. It invites openness and signals humility. You don't assume to know their journey. Mirror their language. Pay attention to the words and phrases others use to describe their experiences. Then echo that language in your responses. If a colleague describes a project as a roller coaster, you might say, sounds like that roller coaster taught you a lot about adaptability. Mirroring creates subconscious rapport. It tells them you're attuned to their worldview. Validate their perspective. When someone shares an opinion, even if you disagree, acknowledge its validity. I can see why you'd feel that way. Or, that makes sense given your background. Validation doesn't mean agreement. It means respect. This practice reduces defensiveness, keeps dialogue open, and shows you value their unique perspective. Share the spotlight. Genuine curiosity means stepping back from self-focus. In group settings, invite quieter voices to share. I'd love to hear Anna's thoughts on this. Team or after you speak, ask, what do others think? By giving attention to all participants, you foster inclusive energy and strengthen your magnetism as a thoughtful connector. Capture their passion. When people talk about something they love, a hobby, a side project, a cause, their energy shifts, their voice brightens, their eyes light up. Notice these cues and lean into them. You seem really passionate about that. What sparked your interest? Exploring passions creates emotional high points in conversation and cements your connection. Offer personal insights. While focus remains on them, sharing brief personal insights can deepen trust. After they speak, you might say, I had a similar experience and found that journaling helped me process it. What strategies do you use? This two-way exchange balances curiosity with reciprocity, creating a shared space of mutual growth. Observe nonverbal cues. When questions linger or eyes dart, adjust your approach. If someone hesitates, offer a gentler prompt. Feel free to share only what you're comfortable with. If they smile and lean in, keep exploring. Your ability to read and adapt to nonverbal signals demonstrates respect for boundaries and enhances their comfort. Practice, tell me more. Sometimes the simplest prompt is the most powerful. After they share a key point, say, "That's so interesting. Tell me more." This invitation is universal, easy to use, and effective in signaling your ongoing engagement. Document and revisit. Use a brief digital note or pocket notebook to record names, interests, and key conversation points after networking events. Before follow-up meetings, review these notes to refresh your memory. People are amazed when you recall a detail from weeks ago. It underscores your genuine investment in them. Rotate your curiosity. Avoid predictability by diversifying your questions. One day, focus on professional aspirations. What's your biggest goal this quarter? Another day, explore personal growth. What new skill are you most excited to learn? This rotation keeps interactions fresh and your curiosity genuine. Integrate, if you could. Scenarios. Hypothetical questions spark imagination and reveal values. If you could design your ideal workday, what would it look like? Or, if you had a free afternoon, how would you spend it? These scenarios invite creative thinking and memorable dialogue. Balance depth and brevity. While deep conversations foster closeness, be mindful of context. In brief encounters, aim for one focused question and one follow-up. In extended meetings, guide the flow with 2 to 3 thematic questions. Adjust your depth to fit time constraints without sacrificing authenticity. Offer reciprocal recommendations. When they share a passion or interest, follow up later with a resource, an article, a podcast episode, a contact. For example, you mentioned jazz piano. I came across this performance I thought you'd love. This thoughtful gesture underscores your attentive listening and solidifies your role as a connector. Celebrate their achievements. When someone mentions a success, a new job, a completed project, a personal milestone, acknowledge it enthusiastically. That's amazing news. Congratulations. You must feel proud of what you accomplished. Genuine celebration strengthens the emotional bond and shows you care about their wins. Cultivate patience. Genuine curiosity sometimes surfaces at its own pace. If someone doesn't open up immediately, resist the urge to push. Provide space and trust. Your steady presence and sincere interest gradually invite deeper sharing. Reflect and iterate. After significant conversations, rate your curiosity. Did you ask open questions? Did you listen without interrupting? Did you recall details later? Identify one area for improvement and practice it in your next interaction. By embedding these authentic curiosity practices, name use, open-ended questions, active recall, empathetic mirroring, and thoughtful follow-ups, you transform simple chats into meaningful connections. People will remember your interest, feel valued in your presence, and actively seek your company. As you weave curiosity into every exchange, your magnetic field strengthens. You become the person who not only speaks eloquently, but listens, remembers, and celebrates others so profoundly that they feel at home in your conversations. And in that welcoming space, genuine connections flourish naturally. You walk into a space and immediately sense its pulse, like chatter bubbling with optimism or heavy silence weighted by stress. Your own energy doesn't just ripple through the room, it sets the tone. In this section, you learn to radiate positive energy through gratitude, humor, and presence, turning ordinary interactions into uplifting experiences that draw people to you, like moths to a gentle flame. Start with gratitude rituals every morning before diving into your day. Take 30 seconds to name 3 things you're grateful for, big or small. It could be the crisp air on your walk, a supportive colleague, or the aroma of fresh coffee. State them aloud. I'm grateful for my friend's encouraging text, the team's collaborative spirit, and the sunrise this morning. Voicing gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, priming your mindset to notice positive details throughout the day. This internal shift naturally radiates outward. People feel buoyed by your appreciative outlook. Mindful moments of joy throughout the day. Pause and engage in micro-celebrations. When you complete a task, give yourself a silent yes or a subtle fist pump. When you receive good news, a quick email reply, a solved problem, smile broadly, even if no one sees. These tiny bursts of joy release endorphins, elevating your energy and making you more approachable. Others sense this positivity and gravitate towards it. Leverage light-hearted humor. Humor is a universal connector. Share a light, appropriate joke or amusing anecdote to break tension. It doesn't require stand-up material, a simple, self-deprecating quip about the universal struggle. I tried a new recipe and ended up ordering pizza again. Invites shared laughter. Laughter lowers defenses, fosters camaraderie, and releases feel-good chemicals. Gauge the mood and deliver humor with warmth, never at someone else's expense. Practice positive reframing. Challenges happen, delays, misunderstandings, setbacks. Rather than dwelling on frustration, reframe the narrative. This hiccup is an opportunity to improve our process. State it aloud to those around you. Okay, team, this snag shows us where we can strengthen our plan. This reframing signals optimism and problem-solving energy. People follow leaders who see potential rather than pitfalls. Use uplifting language. Words carry energy. Replace I can't with I can try. This is tough with this is a great challenge to grow. Phrases like let's explore. What excites you about this? And I appreciate your effort. Keep the atmosphere constructive and energizing. When you habitually choose positive phrasing, you reshape conversations toward collaboration and confidence. Cultivate presence through breathing. High energy giver can only sustain positivity if grounded. Use the box breathing technique. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold 4. Exhale 4. Hold 4 once every few hours. This simple reset calms any anxiety that clears your mind and brings focus back to the present moment. Presence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who listen and engage with calm clarity. Radiate warmth with genuine smiles. A sincere smile is contagious. When greeting someone, let your whole face join in. Eyes soft, cheeks lifted. Smile before words, then pair with a friendly, hello, or how are you? This warmth dissolves barriers instantly. Practice smiling at yourself in the mirror each morning to anchor that genuine eye smile as your default expression. Share stories of positivity. When you recount experiences, highlight uplifting moments. Instead of focusing solely on difficulties, weave in lessons of hope. When that project faltered, we learned how resilient we truly are. And now we're stronger. These positive narratives reinforce optimism and inspire those around you to see silver linings. Offer encouraging gestures, small acts, passing a quick note of thanks, sending a celebratory emoji, giving a thumbs up. Extend positive energy to others. Visual cues of support remind people they're valued. In virtual settings, use reaction features to acknowledge contributions with a heart or clapping hands. Practice energy scans. Before entering a meeting or social gathering, take a 1-second energy scan. Notice your body posture. Clear any tension in shoulders. Soften your facial muscles. Then set an intention. I bring warmth and optimism to this space. This brief ritual aligns your internal state with the positive energy you wish to share. Cultivate a can-do attitude. When faced with requests or new tasks, default to yes and rather than no and because this language fosters solutions and enthusiasm. For example, yes, we can tackle that deadline, and here's how we might adjust our approach. This proactive stance invites collaboration and underscores your willingness to contribute. Balance positivity with authenticity. Optimism isn't about ignoring challenges or forcing cheerfulness. Acknowledge real concerns with empathy. I know this feels overwhelming. Then pivot to possibilities. What small step can we take right now? This balanced approach validates emotions while steering energy toward constructive action. Invite moments of shared gratitude. In team meetings or group settings, open or close with a gratitude circle. Each person shares one thing they appreciate about the team's efforts or a positive moment from the week. This communal practice builds collective positivity and strengthens bonds. Track your positive impact. Maintain a positivity journal. At day's end, note 2 instances when your positive energy influenced others. A colleague smiled after your joke. Someone mentioned feeling motivated by your feedback. Reviewing these entries reinforces the value of your efforts and encourages continued positivity. Celebrate collective wins. When a group achievement occurs, mark it with a small celebration, virtual high fives, a shared screenshot of congratulations, or a brief acknowledgement in a group chat. Collective celebrations amplify positive energy and foster unity. By integrating gratitude rituals, joyful micro-celebrations, light humor, positive reframing, uplifting language, and mindful presence, you radiate an energy that uplifts everyone around you. People will seek your company because you make spaces brighter. Challenges feel lighter, and successes taste sweeter. As you practice these techniques daily, your optimistic presence becomes a signature trait, one that magnetically draws others into your orbit and makes every interaction a source of positive momentum. You've practiced confidence, generosity, and connection, but underneath it all lies a deeper magnetism, authentic vulnerability. Real connection blossoms when you let down the barriers of perfection. Share your true self, including your doubts and limits, and say no to demands that compromise your values. In this section, you'll embrace vulnerability as a strength, learn to assert boundaries with grace, and free yourself from the trap of people-pleasing. When you show up as your genuine self, flaws and all, you invite others to do the same, forging bonds that are unshakable. Embrace imperfection as invitation. Perfectionism builds walls. Vulnerability builds bridges. Notice the parts of you you've hidden, the moments of uncertainty, the mistakes you'd rather forget. Imagine inviting someone behind your carefully constructed facade and saying, "Here's where I stumble." That invitation opens deeper empathy. To practice, choose one small imperfection or mistake you've recently made, a typo in an email, a missed deadline, and share it with a trusted colleague or friend. Frame it as a learning moment. I realized I rushed and overlooked details. Next time, I'll build in extra review time. Observing their response, often kindness rather than judgment, teaches you that authenticity is met with respect, not scorn. The power of saying no is one of the most vulnerable acts you can commit. it risks disappointing others or being judged uncooperative. Yet no is a cornerstone of self-respect and authenticity. Start small. The next time a non-urgent request lands on your plate, a meeting invite outside your priorities, a social commitment you'd rather skip, pause and assess. Ask yourself, does this align with my values and goals? If not, gently decline. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm honored you invited me, but I need to focus on my current projects. Let's revisit in a few weeks. And notice how your tone, warm but firm, preserves goodwill while honoring your limits. Practice this pause and assess ritual daily until saying no becomes second nature rather than a source of guilt. Vulnerability in conversation. Vulnerability isn't oversharing, it's strategic sharing. In your next conversations, practice a vulnerability pivot. After listening deeply to someone else, share one personal insight related to the topic. For example, if a colleague describes struggling with public speaking, you might say, I used to freeze in front of groups until I adopted a ritual of deep breaths and power poses. Still a work in progress, but it helps. This brief disclosure shows you understand from experience, not just theory. It normalizes imperfection and encourages them to open up further. Over time, these small reveals weave a tapestry of mutual trust. Cultivate self-compassion. Vulnerability can stir self-criticism. Train your inner dialogue to match your outward authenticity. When you catch your inner voice saying, "You shouldn't have messed that up," respond with self-compassion. I'm human. Mistakes are part of learning. Write down one self-critical thought each day, and beside it, jot a compassionate rebuttal. This practice rewires your mindset, so vulnerability feels safe rather than exposing. Authenticity through values, alignment. True vulnerability arises from living in alignment with your core values, the principles that define you. Identify your top 3 values, e.g., integrity, creativity, kindness, and write them on index cards. At the start of each week, review them and set one vulnerability goal per value. For integrity, I will admit when I don't know something in my next team meeting. For creativity, I will share my half-formed idea without waiting for perfection. For kindness, I will express when I need support rather than trying to handle everything alone. Document your experiences and reflect on how these acts deepen connection. Boundaries as acts of courage. Boundaries aren't walls, they're declarations of what you stand for. Practice crafting compassionate boundary statements. Short, clear, kind. I appreciate you wanting my input, but I need until Friday to give it the attention it deserves. I value our relationship. I'm not comfortable discussing personal matters at work. Deliver these statements with calm tone and steady posture. Notice how courageously voicing your needs fosters respect. People rarely challenge a boundary expressed with both empathy and firmness. Letting go of people-pleasing. People-pleasing stems from fear of rejection. Spot its patterns. Do you say yes when you want to say no? Do you smooth over conflict instead of addressing it? When you sense the urge to people, please pause. Ask, am I serving my values or avoiding discomfort? Then choose authenticity. If you declined a request, offer an alternative. I can't lead that project, but I can support training the kickoff session. This way, you remain generous without losing yourself. Over time, freeing yourself from people-pleasing builds inner stability. Others are drawn to your clear, authentic presence. Sharing your journey. Magnetism deepens when you share not just outcomes, but the path you took, the doubts, detours, and discoveries. In your next team update or social conversation, resist the polished summary, and instead narrate a brief journey story. We hit a major roadblock when X failed, but we regrouped, reevaluated our approach, and found a workaround that actually improved our process. This transparent account of struggle and resilience models vulnerability and invites others to share their own challenges. Feedback with transparency. When giving feedback, vulnerability means admitting your own limitations. Instead of, you missed the mark on this report, try, I struggled to communicate this myself before. Here's what I learned. Let's improve it together. By coupling feedback with personal insight, you soften resistance and foster collaborative growth. Feedback becomes a shared exploration rather than a top-down critique. Creating safe spaces. Invite vulnerability in others by openly setting a tone of acceptance. At the start of meetings or gatherings, you might say, feel free to share thoughts without worrying about perfection. This is a learning space. Use invitations like all ideas welcome, especially the half-baked ones. When someone does share imperfectly, respond with encouragement. Thank you for your honesty. That's exactly the kind of openness we need. These signals cultivate collective vulnerability and deepen group cohesion. Story of your own struggle. Prepare a concise personal story about a time you felt vulnerable, perhaps a career transition, a failed endeavor, or an emotional low point, and share it in a relevant context. Structure it with setup for conflict, and insight. Number 1. Setup. Last year, I left a stable job because I craved more purpose. 2. Conflict. For months, I applied to roles that went nowhere. My confidence plummeted. 3. Insight. Then I discovered skill mapping and landed a role aligned with my strengths, teaching me that clarity comes from self-awareness. Sharing genuine struggle demonstrates courage and authenticity, inspiring others to embrace their own growth journeys. Navigating cultural norms. Vulnerability can feel risky in cultures that prize stoicism. If you operate in such environments, begin with micro-vulnerability, brief disclosures aligned with group norms, a simple admission, I'm still learning this technology, can open doors without breaching comfort zones. As trust builds, you can share deeper layers. Resilience through vulnerability. Paradoxically, vulnerability strengthens resilience. Each time you risk openness and survive it, even thrive, and you expand your comfort zone. Keep a vulnerability wins journal. Note the courageous acts you took, the reactions you received, and the lessons learned. Reviewing these entries reminds you that vulnerability leads to growth, not ruin. Integrating vulnerability into leadership. If you lead others, model vulnerability proactively. Start team meetings by asking, what challenge are you facing? And share your own. Use phrases like, I don't have all the answers. Let's figure this out collaboratively. This leadership style fosters psychological safety, unleashes creativity, and makes you a magnetic anchor in turbulent times. Daily vulnerability practices. 1. Morning intent. Each day, choose one micro-vulnerability goal, admit one uncertainty, or ask for one piece of help. 2. Midday pause. Reflect on where you automated but could inject authenticity, perhaps in email tone or meeting presence. Number 3. Evening reflection. Journal one instance where vulnerability built connection and one where you defaulted to people-pleasing. This cycle reinforces growth and cements vulnerability as a habit by embracing imperfection, asserting boundaries, and sharing your genuine self. You unlock a deeper layer of magnetism. Vulnerability isn't a liability. It's the ultimate strength that invites others to meet you at the heart of shared humanity. When you show up as you are, flaws, fears, and all, You create space for authentic connection that transcends surface charm. Your willingness to be real becomes a beacon that draws others to your light. Embrace vulnerability today and watch as trust deepens, relationships strengthen, and your magnetic field expands in ways you never imagined. You've refined self-worth, communication, confidence, generosity, boundaries, body language, listening, compliments, storytelling, curiosity, positivity, and vulnerability. Now it's time to weave it all together and reinforce the power of listening as the ultimate magnetic skill. In this final section, you cement active listening as your foundational superpower and invite ongoing practice, ensuring your presence remains irresistibly magnetic every day. Listening as the core connector throughout this journey. Every habit has circled back to listening, to yourself, your inner critic, and most importantly, to others. Active listening is your gateway to understanding needs, building trust, and uncovering opportunities for genuine connection. When you prioritize listening over speaking, even as you share your stories and insights, you honor the human need to be heard. And that honor becomes a powerful draw. Synthesize your practices. Create a daily ritual that blends your favorite techniques. 1. Mindful morning check-in. Start by tuning into self-awareness and affirmations. 2. Midday gratitude and pause. Practice gratitude. Reset with box breathing. 3. Micro courage and boundaries. Face a small fear or assert a boundary. More. Active listening drill. During one conversation, apply 80-20 listening with emotional labeling. 5. Compliment and curiosity challenge. Offer a specific praise and ask an open-ended question. 6. Story and vulnerability. Share. Tell a brief personal story that aligns with your values. 7. Positive closing reflection. Note one act of generosity or uplift you received. This ritual knits every section's lessons into your daily life, creating a compound effect that deepens your magnetic presence. Invite feedback to fuel growth. Even the most magnetic communicators evolve through feedback. Ask to trusted colleagues or friends, how do I show up? Where can I improve? Listen fully to their observations without defensiveness. Their insights illuminate blind spots and guide your refinement. Create a quarterly listening lab session to practice and receive feedback on your nonverbal cues, storytelling, and emotional resonance. Anchor in values and vision. Return to your core values, integrity, empathy, growth, and let them guide your interactions. Visualize the magnetic influence you aspire to have. Classrooms where students feel safe. Boardrooms where ideas flow freely. Social gatherings where everyone feels included. This vision anchors your daily efforts, reminding you that magnetism isn't about popularity, but about empowering meaningful connection. Empower others to practice. Share these habits generously. Mentor a colleague on active listening. Host a compliment circle. Or lead a storytelling workshop. Teaching crystallizes your mastery and extends the ripple of magnetic connection. Watching others transform under your guidance magnifies your own sense of purpose and presence. Embrace the ongoing journey. Magnetism isn't a destination, it's a practice. There will be days when you drift into old habits, autopilot posture, distracted listening, people-pleasing answers. When you notice the slip, simply pause and realign. Your rituals and reflections serve as compass points, bringing you back to intentional presence. Celebrate your growth. Take a moment to honor how far you've come. Reflect on your top 3 breakthroughs. Perhaps your posture now radiates confidence, more, your storytelling captivates peers, or your boundaries safeguard your well-being. Acknowledge these wins as tangible proof of your transformation. Commit to lifelong learning, magnetic skills deepen with time. Seek out new resources, books on emotional intelligence, podcasts on storytelling, workshops on body language. Stay curious about the evolving art of connection, and let each fresh insight refine your mastery. A final thought: live magnetism. Don't perform it. True magnetism is natural, not manufactured. It flows from aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your authentic self and core values. When you embody these habits, listening first, speaking with purpose, giving generously, and showing up vulnerably, you become a living example of magnetic presence, not a performer playing a role. As our journey concludes, slow your breath and let these words settle gently. Magnetism isn't a trick or talent you're born with. It's a tapestry of simple, intentional habits woven together with authenticity and care. Each habit you've practiced is a thread, the thread of self-respect that grounds you, the thread of empathetic listening that connects you, the thread of vulnerability that invites trust, and the thread of positivity that uplifts. Individually, they offer value. Woven together, they create a force field of genuine connection that draws people in and naturally. Imagine these habits as seeds you've planted in fertile soil. Some will sprout today: a smile shared, a boundary honored, a story told. Others will take time to root, perhaps the courage to say no or the ease of empathetic mirroring. Trust the process. Tend your magnetic garden daily with gratitude, reflection, and playful curiosity. Celebrate each small bloom, a genuine compliment that uplifts a colleague, a boundary that preserves your peace, a conversation where you felt wholly seen and heard. Magnetism is about presence, showing up as you are, flaws and all, and choosing connection over performance. It's about honoring both your needs and others with equal respect. As you move forward, remember, your presence is a gift. When you listen deeply, speak from the heart, and give without expectation, you become more than a voice in the room. You become a beacon of safety, inspiration, and warmth. So go out today with gentle confidence. Let your authentic self guide every interaction. And know that with each intentional choice, to pause, to listen, to give, to share, you weave more magic into your relationships and strengthen your magnetic field. May your connections flourish, your presence resonate, and your journey of magnetism continue, ever evolving, ever enriching.